That's a big fish.
Big mama came out. This is the biggest fish I've ever killed bowfishing.
Sun's out. Buck's out, baby. Good job. What a nice. Right there in the rock. Look, there's a big one. Nice shot, Taylor. Get him, Smitty. Double up, baby. Hey! Good shot, man. There we go. We got two of them now. He's a good gator. He's a monster.
I'm getting excited.
That audio means a little bit more on this podcast.
Wow. Love boat. Come here. Time for a free boat ride
in the AMS boat.
Hey, everybody.
That's right, man. That got me excited right there, Smitty.
Yeah, it was. There was some good audio there. Every time we play that, it's like a couple of years worth of the fun times out on the water. And it's funny. I've said this before, but every single clip, I can either go back to where it was filmed or footage that you have taken when you're on a trip, and I can picture it perfectly.
Absolutely.
So that's pretty cool.
But welcome back to the Bowfishing Buzz podcast presented by AMS Bowfishing and
Megamouth Bowfishing as well.
We are on episode 46, Schmitty.
46. I thought it was 44. Man, we're just
46,
flying.
dude. What are we going to do on our 50th? We got to
do something.
We got to get like balloons in here and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But sorry, we are a day late.
We are
a day late. I was on vacation yesterday. I really didn't need to be on vacation, but I was on vacation.
Why don't you tell us a little bit, Matt, about why you took yesterday off initially?
I took it off to go bow hunting. Yeah. Initially, I took it off to go bow hunting because we got this big cold front that came in. We had a deep freeze, or not a deep freeze, but we had a freeze last night.
I was looking this morning on the average temperature for this time of year, and I want to say for like the 27th of September last year, it was like 67 degrees for a high. And this morning coming into work, I had 31 on my truck.
Yeah. I put a jacket on this morning.
Yesterday, I don't think it touched 50.
Right.
It was chilly yesterday.
Yeah, it was couple days. Yesterday. Yep. But no, I know we talked a little bit about it in our previous podcast about some of the deer that we've been seeing and getting, hunting a little bit here. But I caught up with my the deer that I was after this year. Like I said, I've had hundreds of pictures of this deer, Derek.
I remember you showing me pictures probably all the way back to July?
End of July.
Of him in velvet?
End of July, yeah. Yep, in velvet and watched him grow the whole month of August. Watched him grow. There was a time in there when it was August 23rd, Derek, to September 9th or 10th.
Okay. 2 weeks roughly, a little more.
Same food plot, all during shooting hours.
Not every day.
Every day.
Oh my gosh!
Every single day.
That's crazy.
It is.
That is absolutely wild.
And I was a little worried that once he shed his velvet, that his pattern would change a little bit.
I mean, typically bucks of that caliber, that does happen.
Yeah, their demeanor kind of changes a little bit, and you know how that is. You see a buck coming in, and all of a sudden it's opening day of bow season, and you don't see him again until end of October or 1st November.
Well, how many times too, Matt, you put those cameras out, even just people that we know and talk to. I personally, I see it all the time. Someone will show me a picture in November. Yeah. All right, they're hunting the rut, and they go, "Yeah, I got pictures of this big buck," and I'm like, "Oh, that's cool." Here, their most recent picture is a velvet picture of a big deer.
Oh, really?
And that deer is that pattern has changed so much. That deer is obviously not around much anymore. They shed that velvet and they move off.
Absolutely. But we played cat and mouse opening weekend. I would sit here, he would show up there. I would sit there, he would show up the other spot. And it was a cat and mouse thing. I got back from the alligator hunt. I got back on Friday afternoon. I hunted Saturday afternoon, and my wife goes, "Are you going to hunt tomorrow morning?" And I was like, "No, I need to sleep in. I've been getting up at 5 o'clock every morning for the last 2 weeks. I need to sleep in tomorrow morning."
Recalibrate a little bit.
Yep, there he was. He came into the food plot at 7 o'clock, and then he came back at 8 o'clock.
That's crazy.
And I wasn't there. But I did catch up to him on September the 26th. I was sitting in a spot. I had him pinned down to where he was bedding.
That's crazy.
Where he was crossing the road. And I kid you not, my setup for this deer was 10 yards off the road.
When you sent me that snap, Matt, I could not believe that. I'm like, no way. That's got to be a road he accesses at our
10
house
yards,
or something.
10 yards from the gravel road.
That is, that's just wild.
Yep.
And not just this is like a county road. Like there's houses on it and people going up and down it all the time.
I can hear my neighbors' kids in the yard playing.
Crazy.
They have triplets. I can hear them out in the yard playing. I can hear them down in there making wood, cutting wood. Cars are driving by pretty steady. UTVs can run that road. So there's UTVs going back and forth on that road. And I was in my blind. And the funny thing is I started making this blind a pallet blind.
Yeah, it's cool. It's
cool.
cool.
Back in the summer, I started making this pallet blind. And the reason I did is because I turned into a lazy hunter after deer season. I have blinds out there. And what happens is I don't go out there and remove them, and all of a sudden it's too late. We get heavy snow, and they break.
They're wrecked.
Yeah. So I was like, enough of that. I want to make pallet blinds because we got a bunch of old pallets here. So I made this big pallet blind. I can stand up in it. I got a lot of room to draw my bow, sit way back in the corner. I painted it all black, the insides. I put sheets up so it's all black behind me. I covered it up with a bunch of brush and logs this summer so the deer would get used to it. And it worked out perfectly, Derek. I was sitting in my chair when I shot him. First, I had Gimpy come in. Gimpy's a deer I've been,
he's your pet, I think.
He is. He's missing part of his left leg. Been watching him for the last 2 years. Old Gimpy, he came in, and Spike. And then I had a doe and 2 fawns come through. And at 6:40, I could hear something crunching in the leaves coming from the road. Mm-hmm. He came down through the ditch. I could hear him crunching the leaves. He came to my left, and I was looking at him. I could see his head down. I could see antlers. And when he got to the edge of the food plot, he picked his head up, and I could see that split G2.
Yep.
And that's what I loved about him so much, with that split G2. Once I saw that, I drew my bow, and he walked underneath the apple tree, stopped, and I shot. So it was all within a matter of, from when I saw him to when I shot, 10 seconds.
He didn't give you time to get nervous. That's good.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
And when I shot, I saw the light of knock go right through. He did a really quick high heel kick, and he took off into the woods to the north. And I jumped up quick, and I ran to the front of the blind. I pulled my mask down so I could hear, and I couldn't hear nothing. And I should have been hearing him running.
Sure, right.
I didn't hear nothing. All of a sudden, I heard that a staggering stutter stepping in the leaves.
Yep.
And then I could hear him crash.
Yeah.
And then the kicking of the leaves and stuff.
Sure.
And then it all went silent. And then I texted you right away. And what did I tell you?
You texted me. Because I was out that night too, and all of a sudden I get a text. What time was it roughly? I mean, he showed up 45 minutes before
I got a picture of him coming through the plot at 6:44, I believe.
Okay.
And I took the shot like 10 seconds after that picture was taken.
Gotcha.
So it was like right around 6:45 or 6:46.
Nice daylight, coming out early. But you texted me. I'm sitting there all of a sudden. I'm like, oh, let's see what we got going here. And the text was dude. And it was D-U-D and then like 6 E's. Like, dude. And that is not a typical Mathew Schillinger text to send. So I remember I texted back. Isn't it weird how you remember all this stuff so vividly? I texted back. I said, did you get him, Matt? And I think you responded back, I think so.
I said, I think I heard him crash.
I think you heard him crash. Yeah. And just from the Snapchat videos that you sent me, it looked like you couldn't have gone up and poked him with your arrow in a more perfect spot. I mean, you absolutely 10-ringed that deer.
Double lung.
He went, what, 20, 30 yards?
25.
That's crazy. With a bow and arrow? That's wild.
Yeah, he went 25. Wild. And walked up to him, and there's the split G2. And I always wondered, because I knew he loved apples. He was under both my plots. I have one apple tree in one and 2 in the other one. Mm-hmm. And he absolutely loved apples. And I always got pictures of him with the big bump under his jaw. Mm-hmm. And I thought, man, he's sucking on another apple.
He's always chomping, yeah.
Well, here come to find out, he had a damage to his bottom left side of his jaw. And he had a big growth down there on his bottom of his jawbone. I don't know if it was broken or not, but he had a big tear in his ear too.
He's a fighter.
Yeah,
he's a fighter. And too, just for everyone that's listening, obviously you can't see the deer, but that split G2, Matt, even it is a split, but it's like he has another point right next to his typical G2 that grows straight almost out of the main beam base of his antler.
Right.
It's like two G2s,
two different,
if you will.
Right.
It's not like a split like this on the top of a G2. It's
correct.
It's very cool, distinct.
2 distinct tines.
Yeah. So that was really cool to see.
Mm-hmm.
That was awesome.
Yeah, and he was a neat deer, and I was glad I got them when I called my mom and dad, and they came up there. They were happy. They came up there, and then my wife and Mara came up there later on, and
that's
it
awesome.
was a lot of fun.
I know you sent me a snap of him, and in the background I could hear Julie.
Oh,
talking.
could you?
She goes, "Wow, has he got a big body?"
Oh, that thing had a tank of a body.
Yeah, well, that's because he's all fattened up on apples.
Yeah, no kidding.
He was, and then cool thing too is you put that plot in.
Mm-hmm.
You put in all the time and effort in the summer. You planted it all. I know you sending me snaps. We go back and forth all summer, sending food plot snaps and everything. And when you seal the deal on something that you put the time and effort in like that, it just makes it that much more sweeter.
Yeah.
So that's really cool.
Yep.
So so when are you gonna go down south and do some deer hunting now?
I don't know
that
yet.
You got all fall available?
I always take off 2 weeks, end of October, 1st of November, and I take off and I hunt that.
Yep.
Here in Wisconsin. I am looking so forward now to go sitting in the blind with my wife and watching her experience. She bow hunted once many, many years ago for just a short time, and then we had kids, and then that all kind of stopped.
Sure. Yeah.
So I'm looking so forward to being out with her, sitting in those blinds and watching some deer, because I've got another really nice 8 on camera.
He showed up on that same the
next morning.
Next morning
In
after
that
you
same spot.
And you were in there, dragging
Dragging
out.
that
Julie
deer
was
out.
in there, all kinds of stuff going on. So you got a real draw there with that.
I'm telling you what, those
that
licking
plot.
branches. You set up a licking branch. I had a licking branch here since last year, hanging from a tree. It's hanging from a rope from the tree, right where I can shoot. Those deer absolutely love that.
It's wicked.
It's crazy. Every deer that comes through there stops there and smells it or sniffs it, and then bucks are just twirling it around their face and it's bouncing back and forth between their antlers and their nose.
And
all
I
that.
always knew, the mock scrape game. That's always been a staple.
Yep.
That's a great way to take inventory, hunt them when the time is right, and whatever. But and I first heard it from Jeff Sturgis as far as these actual like a limb hanging from a rope that the deer love to move them. They like to have that mobility when they're moving them and everything. Yeah. It's crazy how even early in this time of year, every deer, like you said, that walks past it is leaving. They're licking to see who else has been there. It's been spectacular.
I got them in both by food plots, and they're amazing.
Yeah.
It's absolutely amazing.
Mine's hanging from a 200-pound Dacron orange line. So
I think mine's 130 old white.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Yeah. That's really cool. Congrats to you,
Thank
Matt.
you.
I know that was awesome to see. I know it's
been a long time since I shot a buck with my bow.
Yeah.
A long time.
And you made the most of it. That's for sure.
It was fun. Had a great time.
So yeah.
Had a great time.
So yeah, we'll keep updating you guys if anyone here in the shop gets lucky.
Yep.
We got a couple bow hunters here, so but yeah, that's Matt's season there. Let's see here. What did it take you? 9 days into season.
9 days into season. That's rare.
That's
for me.
crazy.
That's rare for me.
That's really cool. But so should we jump into some records
here?
Let's get into
Bowfishing
records.
Some of the Bowfishing Association of America. Let's get into some of their records here, Schmitty. I'll let you start out.
Yep. So Cole Babb, congratulations on your BAA Kentucky State record River Red Horse, 10.3 pounds. Congrats to Cole.
That's a big red horse.
It is.
That's
Good
a
Lord.
solid red horse.
Yeah.
Congratulations, Clayton Meyer, on your BAA Maryland State record flathead catfish, 30.2 pounds.
That's awesome. I know Clayton, too. He's shooting mega mounts. He's always takes fantastic pictures.
Oh, really?
So I bet you there's just a pristine picture of that big old flathead. Congrats to Mark McMillan on your BAA World and Maryland State record sheephead, 13 pounds. Double whammy. BAA World and Maryland State record. Good job, Mark.
Good job. And then also for you, remember, we've got our podcast on the YouTube channel on AMS Bowfishing, and we play this video, and I'll also put their pictures up there with their little certificates from the BAA on there as well. Once again, we're going back to Cole Babb. Congratulations on your BAA Kentucky State record channel catfish, 7.2 pounds.
Cole had himself a good little last couple of weeks here.
He did.
2 records. That's awesome. Finally, congrats to Rebecca Chapel on your BAA Youth North Carolina State record common carp, 23.85 pounds.
Good job.
We say it every podcast. It's so cool to see these youth records roll in.
That's awesome.
Getting those kids involved. That's awesome. Congrats to Rebecca.
Very cool. Good job.
We have got so much to discuss because you were down in Florida last week. Yourself, a bunch of people from Red Shutter, our media company that helps us out a ton.
Right.
And Wendy and Alyssa from the office here, and you guys were on a gator hunt.
That's right.
So I think we should totally dive in here. Maybe we'll grab
Absolutely.
Wendy and Alyssa, get some information from them, and you guys can just talk a little bit about your hunt.
Absolutely.
Okay.
That sounds good. We're going to bring them in and talk about our gator hunt right after this commercial.
Why I bowfish. Hunting fish with a bow. Non-stop action. Never slow. By day, by night. Great shots. Great fights. With family, with friends. Trash talk never ends. And kids, they love it. If they miss, think nothing of it. By foot, by boat, by board or canoe. How you do it is up to you. Aim low. Shoot fast. Watch your shadow. Watch the grass. Shoot carp, rays, or gar. Shoot 'em close. Shoot 'em far. Stout arrow. Barb tip. Retrieve a reel. Let it rip. Bowfishing. Give it a shot.
And welcome back to the Bowfishing Buzz. As you can see, we are joined. We've got Alyssa. Ha. Boom.
Backwards.
We've got Wendy over here. We've got Alyssa right here. And the cool thing is when a lot of you call in to the AMS shop and you ask for questions, you're making orders, these are the two that you're talking to. So it was so cool to have you guys on this gator trip with us to experience big game bow fishing for alligators. So thanks for joining us on the Bowfishing Buzz podcast.
Yeah, so I think what we can do here, Matt, is you three were all down in Florida last week.
Right.
You guys had some red shutter guys with you guys, and you guys were out there chasing gators. Mm-hmm. I've just got a couple questions here that I'll ask all three of you, and we'll just kind of go through and just kind of get a little bit of a detailed description of what you guys were all doing down there.
Rock and roll,
Sound
dude.
like a plan?
Yep.
All right, cool. So, Wendy, I'll start with you. First question. I forget how long ago you guys were that brought up that, maybe we should have Wendy and Alyssa go, which I thought would be awesome. But when you guys were initially invited to go on that trip, what were you expecting? What was going through your brain when you got asked, hey, you want to go on a gator hunt?
Well, I was a little nervous. Those gators, they can get quite big, and I didn't really know what to expect. I didn't really know if I'd be able to get a shot and if I'd be able to bring one home. So I was just super nervous and excited all at the same time. Now I look back and I'm glad I went. It was the experience of a lifetime, actually.
That's awesome. That's so typical with like big hunts like that. I think you hear that from a lot of people. You know, you get nervous beforehand, and rightfully so. You're going into an area you've never been before, chasing big game and stuff like that, but then it ends up being, the time of your life, so that's cool. How about you, Matt? I know you've been on a couple before, but just having Wendy and Alyssa with you, with the Red Shutter guys, what was your mindset going into this gator hunt?
I knew going into this gator hunt it was going to be busy.
Yeah.
4 tags, 4 days, and nothing against Wendy and Alyssa, but they've shot carp here in Wisconsin. It's a lot different going to Florida and trying to bowfish an alligator. It's a lot different. I was so proud to be in the boats when they both connected. To see their excitement, to see their adrenaline, to see their facial expressions, and just to be on an airboat ride in Florida is beautiful alone. The sunsets are amazing. The sights that you see, the spiders, the lizards, the frogs, the turtles, the snakes.
Oh, spiders were awful. Spiders.
It was busy, but it was very awesome to be on on their boats with Wendy and Alyssa and to experience that, the gator hunt and the thrill of going out there. Because, there's so many different ways that you can get a gator.
Sure.
You can bait, you can use a spear, you can use a snatch hook. And I was so proud of both Wendy and Alyssa that we didn't have to use any of that stuff. The first thing that connected that gator was the AMS Chaos Point.
Yeah, that's cool.
From their crossbow and their bow. And that is an accomplishment in itself because, like I said, there's a little bit easier ways to get them, and it would have been very easy for us to just throw a big old snatch hook out there and snag one, bring it to the boat, and then let you shoot it. But like I said, to do it the way that I like to do it is you be the one that puts your arrow into that gator. That means a lot, and that was really cool for you guys to do that. That was really awesome. I'm proud of you for doing that.
Yeah. I would think that would create more of a what am I trying to say? Like a snatch hook and everything, like that's very cool. That's a cool way to get them. But
Oh,
it's
yeah.
gotta be such a more adrenaline-filled hunt when you are literally hunting them down to shoot them with archery equipment.
Yeah.
You know, you're not snagging them first and bringing them to you. You're going to them, and you're going to bring them into you
Right.
with your bow and arrow.
Right. And don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong against that. I've done that a couple of times, and it was exciting. It was awesome once you snatch that hook and there's a big gator on the end of that line.
Yeah.
But, you know, bow fishing.
Right.
I want that arrow to be the first thing that connects on that gator.
Sure.
Yep.
Sure. How about you, Alyssa? What was going through your brain when Matt asked you about a gator hunt?
I couldn't believe it, honestly. I was excited.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm like, there's no way. And then, like, I just remember thinking my husband's going to be so jealous.
And was Cody jealous?
Oh, yes. Yes.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah,
That's good.
That's cool. That's cool. So Wendy and Alyssa, you guys were you guys connected on gators. That's so cool. The pictures that I've seen and everything, that's spectacular. Wendy, you want to just start first? Do you want to just kind of walk us through a little bit of how your gator hunt went down?
Sure, I can do that. Well, although I did not get a big gator, I felt that I had a great hunt. It was exciting. It was eventful. We called in 4 gators. One was quite small. Another one I couldn't get a good shot on, and then there was one I actually missed, and he was probably the biggest with my luck. He was probably the biggest. But I had to stay patient. Yep. I had to try to take some deep breaths and relax and wait for the next opportunity. And I believe it was the time when we were thinking about putting Alyssa in the driver's seat that I connected. So with the help of Matt, the crossbow kit, and just a little patience, I was able to do it. And it felt good. It definitely made for a great story around the campfire camping this past weekend.
Yeah. I mean, good Lord.
It definitely made everybody look at me in a new light, that's for sure.
Yeah. Yep.
But yeah, I mean, I just loved it, and I would recommend if anyone ever has a chance to do it.
Right.
Do it. Even just to watch others do it is exciting.
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome. That's very cool to hear. I know there was a clip, Wendy, that I saw, and I'm guessing it's the one where you said that you couldn't get a shot on a gator. You had the crossbow, and I'm watching the footage, and the I don't know, you guys couldn't have been in much water, and the amount of lily pads and weeds and grass in the water. You could see the gator from a ways away, and then all of a sudden it just disappeared, and you could just see some ripples next to the boat. I mean, is it like that typically down there? Is it typically kind of going to be a tough thing to see those gators? Were most of the gators you guys called in that type of environment?
I don't know so much if it was the environment or maybe just me being inexperienced.
Okay.
Not really knowing what to look for, what to watch for. But with every gator, I was able to learn a little more.
Right, perfect.
The guides and Matt telling me, next time try to do this, or next time look for this, or next time wait a little longer. It really helps to have experienced people on the boat and people with you to help you along when you are green at it like I am.
Sure, yeah.
I was,
Yeah.
you know.
One thing that I noticed a huge difference in was my tags were for Lake Hashtanaha, which was a different area. Wendy and Alyssa's tags were for a different lake, Lake Toho Papaliga or something like that. I just call it Lake Toho.
There you go, Toho.
The gators on the lakes where you guys had tags for were so much more responsive to the calling.
Really?
Versus where we were hunting. Right away, we had gators coming into the boat. Literally, that first gator, Wendy, we saw him coming, and he's coming, and he's coming, he's coming. I'm like, okay, he's going to hang up kind of like a turkey. He literally swam right to the side of the boat, so close that we couldn't see him because he was stopped on the side of the boat.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
But there was a big difference between the responses that we got between the two lakes there as far as what it does. And see, one of the things is we can't just go out there and park in the middle of a bunch of lily pads and start calling. We need to be tucked in some cattails to get some cover around the airboat so they can, they can't quite, they can see a bunch of grass in the airboat, but they can't quite see it unless it was just silhouetted out there in the middle.
Sure.
So that's why we had a bunch of the cattails around us, and we tried to get in and conceal it as best we can, just like if you were in a hunting blind or hunting geese. You want to get, as camouflaged as you can.
Sure. So this calling, Matt, you just want to walk us through a little bit of what type of call you guys are using and what these gators are responding to. What are these gators wanting to do when they hear that call?
Well, first of all, we are going out hunting gators with Orlando Gator Hunts and Bowfishing. Randy Dumars is the owner, and Bobby also is one of his guides. And they've been doing this for a long time, and it works awesome. It's so much fun, and it's so cool because just like turkey hunting, you're getting a response from vocalization.
Sure.
So what they do is they run around with big speakers in the front of their boat, and they're connected, of course, to Bluetooth on their phone, and they're playing baby alligators. All right, so it's kind of like a ow, 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 ow. And it's a bunch of mixtures of them doing different, making these different noises.
Sure. Yep.
And what's happening is you're getting females coming in to kind of protect them, and then you're getting males coming in to possibly eat them.
Wow.
All right?
Ruthless.
So you get a big variation. Sometimes they'll come rushing in. Sometimes it takes them forever to come in. You can just barely see lily pads moving. You can just barely see some grass moving. You never know what's going to come in.
Yeah.
Like I said, sometimes you can see that head from 200 yards away. Sometimes you can't see it until it's literally 2 feet from the boat.
Yeah.
But we're playing baby alligator vocalization tunes to draw in either a female or a male. And it's awesome. It's awesome. Those guys do an awesome job.
Yeah, that's got to be an adrenaline pumping thing to hear. And you got a big male gator coming in to kill whatever that noise is being made. That's wild.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Matt, I know you were really busy, conducting the show down there, and you did not connect on a gator, but did you have a specific hunt at all that you had that you remember at all, or a specific period of time when you were targeting a gator?
We can have a whole nother podcast on my situation down there. Number one, I shot like crap. All right. I had my chances. I had my chances on 2 big ones, and I blew the shots. The first one was a hard snapshot, and this is exactly what I was talking about them barely moving the lily pads. Our first morning of calling, we were set up, and Jana was on my right, and we could see the lily pads were just barely moving. But you could see it coming closer and closer, but it's barely moving. And after sitting there for 10, 15 minutes and nothing really happening, he didn't come any closer. He said, it's got to be a little one, So, boom, we started the airboat, and we turned to take off, and it bolted out of the water, and then went back down, and he's like, Bobby was like, get on the front of the deck, that's a big gator, And I jumped up to the front of the boat, and we took off towards it, and it came back out of the water, and it was a 10-plus footer,
Wow.
It was 10, 11-footer. And I had a quick shot at it, and through a bunch of brush and grass, it was on top of a mat, and it went back down underneath the mat, and I quick shot, and I missed. And once that gator went underneath that mat, it was gone.
Sure.
There was no getting it out. And then I missed one on the last 2 hours of our hunt. We chased one down, and it porpoised out of the water, and we got a quick snapshot at it. And Billy actually connected on it, but we ended up losing that gator. That was a 11-plus footer.
Wow. That's
and
crazy.
then I absolutely blew a shot on one that came calling and right in from the lily pads that crawled right to within 5 feet of the boat. I missed that one too.
It happens. It happens to the best of us.
Yeah.
So I brought back my tag, and I get to have alligator tag soup.
There you go. Yep.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, man. So, Alyssa, you were successful. You want to just walk us through that hunt a little
Yeah.
bit?
So I remember asking that morning, like, how long we were going to be out there, and they said about 10:30. So by the time I got up, it was like 10 o'clock. And I think we stopped at 2 different locations and tried calling. And then on the third one, I believe, we were sitting there calling, and I was getting kind of discouraged. I'm like, dang it, I'm not going to get one this morning. We're almost out of time. And Matt was sitting on the right of me, and I was looking left. And all of a sudden, Matt's like, there's one right there, there's one right there. And I'm like, oh my God. And it just like, it's amazing how it just swam right up to the front of the boat. I'm like, this is insane. And they're like, Matt's like, go up there and shoot. And like,
Such a casual thing to say.
Go up there and shoot.
and like playing back the video, watching it, Randy was behind me like the whole time, and I didn't even hear him. And he was like the whole time in the video, he was like, shoot, shoot, shoot. He's right there, shoot, shoot, shoot. He's gonna go down. I never heard him.
Really?
Like when I was up
Nope,
in
you
the front,
don't. You're
I
focused.
never heard him.
Oh my
And I'm
gosh.
just like, it's amazing. And then I shot, and yeah, all of a sudden the line took off and the buoy went under, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, I hit it.
That's crazy.
Yep.
It was so cool. It was so cool.
And so in that footage, did you? From watching it, did you guys wait for that gator to like be blocked from view before you walked up on him?
So here, the setup was amazing. All right, there was these high cattails on the right side of us. Okay, lily pads off to our left side. In front of us was a small canal that went back towards some houses.
Okay.
So there was no weeds in there, and it was maybe 8 feet wide. On the other side of that was a big lily pad patch. Okay. So we're sitting, we tucked into the cattails, and we started calling, and I looked and I saw this gator coming up alongside the cattails in that little opening canal. Mm-hmm. It came up, got even with the boat, and turned and came straight towards the front of the boat and then disappeared. So that's when we said to Alyssa, walk up there, draw back. He's going to be sitting right in front of the boat and shoot it.
Wow.
And it was just like she was walking up to open a door. She gets up, and I'll remind you, I always make fun of Alyssa because she's a southpaw. She's a lefty. She gets up, walks to the front of the boat, draws her bow, wham. And you could just see the eruption of water and the line going out. I was like, I jumped up there right away. I was like, oh my gosh, that was amazing. It was so cool that gator just came right up the canal, turned, and came right to the front of the boat and sat right at the front of the airboat.
Yeah.
And she walked up and smoked him with that Chaos XL big game point by AMS Bowfishing, and right in the back. And it held. I mean, it was buried in big time.
That's crazy.
And then to see that float, I popped the float off, and then literally the gator pulled the float out of my hands. That float hit that canal, and it literally went under the water about 2 feet. And then it got to the cattails, and it popped up, and zing, down through the cattails it went. And it was really cool. It was a lot of fun. It was a great experience.
That's awesome.
And then at one point when we got up to it, Matt was pulling the line in, and he's like, oh no, it came off. Oh man, does that sink your heart?
Oh.
I'm like, come on.
I was pulling on it, I was feeling them. We got the buoy, and we were starting to pull them out, and I felt a tug and then nothing. And I started pulling up all this line. I'm like, oh my gosh, he pulled out. Oh my gosh, this is terrible. So I'm pulling the lily pads off and stuff. And all of a sudden, I look out in the canal, and I can see the line going past us.
Oh.
I'm like, dude, he's swimming up the canal. And all of a sudden, oh, yep, there he was. And then everybody was all happy again and excited.
Wow.
Yeah.
A little bit of moment of heartbreak there, though, huh?
Yeah.
A quick little moment of it,
Yeah.
yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. But it was on Wendy's too. I was sitting over Wendy's shoulder on that first gator that we called in, and that gator came in so fast and came right to the boat. And just to let you know, the adrenaline that you're feeling, like for Wendy, is I was telling you stuff, and later on I asked you, I said, "Did you hear me telling you stuff?" And you were like,
I was even answering,
Right.
but I was so focused on,
"Yep."
here comes this gator at me. I need to get him, and you're not listening to anybody. You're not paying attention to anything except for those eyes coming for you. That's your focus.
Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, it is. It's adrenaline completely.
It was really, really cool to not be the shooter and be able to watch over the shoulder. It'd be no different than if you're watching over the shoulder on an elk coming in or a mule deer coming in.
Right.
To be over the shoulder to watch that. Because I could tell that you were breathing heavy.
Oh, nice.
I could see by I could see your excitement and adrenaline. That's what it's all about right there.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about. And on your gator, Alyssa, and this is a great tech tip and a great thing about the AMS big game points. there's a reason why we tie the line directly to the point. Gators are not small critters. They've got a lot of power. And your arrow actually snapped off right where the arrow went into the gator's hide.
Oh, wow.
It broke right off. There was no arrow. All it was, there was a little piece that was pinned to the point.
Sure.
Okay? That's why we tie the line to the big game point. Because with the line being tied, we were still connected to that gator. That point wasn't coming out. We were able to get that gator back in the boat. And that's just, a big hoorah for AMS Bowfishing for what we have for the big game products that we sell here. And how that float system, how that worked amazingly, just popped off of the water. All that line came right out of that 611 big game reel, and we were able to track that. Because remember, you're not shooting these gators with your first arrow to get that in the boat.
Right.
You're getting that on there as a tracking device.
Yeah.
And then you're putting a backup shot into it. And then you're using a bang stick. And then you're doing, you're taping the mouth shut. And even then they're still trying to walk around in the boat.
That's crazy. Wow.
Yeah, everything worked flawless.
It was awesome.
That's good.
It was so cool.
Yeah.
It was so cool.
Matt, you touched on it a little bit, but Wendy, I'll ask you, how was your overall experience with Randy and Bobby from Orlando Gator Hunts and Bowfishing? Was there anything you didn't expect at all?
No, not at all. I thought they were very professional, very helpful. I think they did everything they could to get us to fill those tags. That was their main focus. I felt safe. When you're in a body of water with big gators swimming around you, you don't want to feel that
Right.
at any moment you might fall overboard.
Yeah, that would be terrible.
I never felt my safety was compromised, and I appreciate that, because it's a little intimidating, when you're in a strange body of water with creatures that you don't have experience with every day. So I thought it was great. I thought they did a great job. I would recommend them to anyone. Easy to talk to, very knowledgeable of what they're doing. No complaints.
That's awesome. That's good to hear. Matt, how about you? How was your experience with them? You've been with them here a couple times
Right.
now.
One thing about Bobby and Randy, Orlando Gator Hunts and Bowfishing, is you tell them, okay, we want to start our hunt at 6 tomorrow morning. We get there at 6 o'clock. The boats are in the water. They're ready to rock and roll.
Really? That's cool.
Every single time. Whenever we would get to the boat landings, their boats were in the water and they were ready to go. That is awesome. I love that. A couple times we were late because we traffic and stuff, but yeah. And another thing that's cool about Bobby and Randy is we've got a big crew. All right. We've got the camera guys. We've got the people with the tags. We've got Billy. We have Jan and Waller that was long on this trip. They're hauling around 6 people in their airboats, and to have them be able to ease us around very nice and easy on the waters is great. And they're also very cautious of weather. I know that one night we were out, we had some weather rolling in, and we said, all right, we got to go back in. There was lightning and stuff, and you could tell it was getting choppy and windy. So we went to a little, the Airboat Club has a little tiny shelter right there on that one lake that we were on, so we could go park the boats there and get under a shelter. And then on our first night, before you guys got there, we had some nasty weather rolling in, and we actually had to leave that night and get back. So they're all about safety, number one, of course.
Yeah.
But then their tactics and their driving abilities and stuff are just top notch.
They know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome. Alyssa, how'd you feel about them?
I mean, like these two said, they were so safe. I mean, the whole time Randy's like, all right, I'm going to, it's going to get loud, so put your headphones on and all that. And not only did they get us on Gator, but while we were just riding, and they were telling us the different kind of birds that we saw, the different kind of leap pads, and then they were telling us stuff about alligator too, like how many eggs they lay and the survival rate and how the sex is determined. It
Holy
was just,
cow.
Yeah, it was amazing. They
Wow.
knew so much.
That's cool.
Yep. We were actually riding around that one day, I think on your Gator, and Randy reached down and he grabbed this something out of the water and he started peeling it.
A lotus flower, wasn't it? Was it a lotus?
Is that what it was? I don't.
Lotus
And then he
flower.
hands it to me. He cracks all this stuff open. He hands me this little seed and he goes, "Eat it." And I was like, "Okay, am I gonna start singing Kumbaya and start hallucinating here?" Or
Yeah,
what?
good Lord.
So I popped it in and I started chewing it. And it was pretty bitter. You know, it dried my whole mouth right up. And I said, "Oh," I said, "that sucker was bitter." So he goes, "Oh, here, try this one." He's cracked another one up, and I said, "That one's bitter too." He goes, "Ah, it must not be in season yet." You know, he's doing stuff like that there. You know, and to one thing is you always feel comfortable.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Yeah,
That's
you
huge.
don't feel intimidated.
Yeah.
You don't feel out of place. They make you part of their group. They keep you involved. You know, and that's huge.
Yeah. That's cool.
And back to the lotus flower, when I think it was Bobby who brought it up to me and said, you know, how important it was, I think, to the Native Americans back when they used it for a lot of different things. But anyway, when he pointed it out to me, I said, well, I'm going to age myself here. Back in the 80s, my mom used to have those in like dried flower arrangements in her
Yes.
living room.
Right.
And
Really?
I'm like, she's like, you're exactly right. Yeah, they were all over our house in different flower arrangements and everywhere. So
Oh, well, that's cool.
yeah, so it was kind of interesting. Learned a lot.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
So other than just the Gators, he's got a wrap on pretty much everything that's going on down in the swamps down there. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Yep.
So this next question, I think I know at least what Matt's answer will be for this one. But other than harvesting your guys' gators, was there anything that sticks out as far as being really enjoyable or just memorable or crazy about the trip at all? Anything that stands out, Wendy?
Well, I think Alyssa hit on it. Just the guides being so knowledgeable about, you know, the lily pads, the birds, and all that. And also, I think the love bugs. I don't think I'll
Oh my
ever
gosh.
forget the love bugs. Those things, I don't know. Look them up on the internet. But they were all over, and they happened to like white. And that includes blonde hair. So I think at one moment, I had about 80 of them in my hair doing their thing.
Oh my
it
gosh.
was not.
So gross.
Like how big are these bugs?
Well, they're varying sizes, but they stay together as a male and a female, and they fly
Wow.
around, and it's mating season, and my hair seemed like the perfect place.
Wow. Wow. Okay.
So yeah, so that would be also, and then I'll let Matt tell. You know, of course, there's one that sticks out.
Yeah,
in my
Matt.
also, but that's Matt's story.
Yeah, let's hear it. Did you have anything memorable or scary or life-threatening happen on the trip?
I would say that I could sum this trip up in one word: crazy.
Crazy?
Yeah, I had my chances. I messed up, and then I fell in the water. We're trying to bring in Wendy's gator, and your gator you shot your gator in the tail.
Yes.
All right.
Yep.
So when I saw that it was shot in the tail, I was trying to be very careful with it. I didn't want to do a lot of pulling on it and stuff. I said, we need to get a good backup shot into this gator because we don't want to lose it. You know, it's Wendy's first gator. And so I was, and of course it's shot in the tail, so all we can see is a little bit of the tail, and it keeps swimming away, and there's lily pads all over, so I couldn't see much of the body at all. So I'm sitting there on the side of the boat, and I'm trying to get a good angle and stuff, and I wanted to get, I guess, just a little bit too better of an angle, and I literally stepped right off the boat and fell right on the gator's tail. I went completely under. Kaploosh.
Oh my gosh.
And I remember I came back up out of the water and I swallowed a whole bunch of water.
Ooh,
and I
yummy.
had a whole bunch of it go up my nose. And I remember I came up and I coughed a little bit. And the first thing I saw was Alyssa in the other boat. And she was holding her fern vertical. And she had that like look on her face like, huh?
Yeah.
And like,
I know.
And then I
This
kind of,
just happened.
what's that? Yeah,
Did this
exactly.
just happen?
Right. So I kind of, I pulled my bow out of the water and I handed it to somebody on the boat. And I remember just standing, then I stood up and I could stand up in the water. It was about just above my waist. And I remember hearing Bobby in her boat go, you might want to get out of the water as soon as you can. And then he also
advice.
goes, that's the first we ever had that happen.
Wow.
Yep.
But then I was more worried about my phone, so I reached in and grabbed my phone quick.
Oh no.
Yeah, and then John and I think Bobby kind of hoisted me back in the boat there. But yeah, that was interesting.
Just we went back and watched the footage of Matt trying to do that, and it's like you were ready to take that backup shot, and you just kept wanting to get an inch further.
Right.
You took like 5 or 6 steps, and every time you see your foot get closer and closer to that edge, and then on your last one, you just went one step too far.
Yep. I was so concentrated on that, I had no idea about my surroundings.
Yeah.
And where I was walking.
Yeah.
So that's a safety tip right there to just. I probably should have been a little bit more aware of my surroundings and where I was on the airboat at the time because I was on the catwalk.
Sure.
On the side, and it's narrow. And yeah, I just wanted to get a little bit better angle, and I wasn't paying attention to where I was, and I just literally stepped right off the boat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alyssa has a screenshot of like you resurfacing.
I can't wait for your birthday. That's gonna get posted on Facebook.
It's pretty good. You just kind of have this look of like, oh my God, what's going on?
What the heck did I just do?
Yeah. Oh man. Alyssa, anything that stood out, enjoyable, memorable about the trip?
Other than Matt falling in, I'd say the thing that I was a little nervous about was Billy has this, what does he call it, a swamp wagon?
Swamp buggy.
Swamp buggy.
Swamp buggy.
Okay, yeah. So I've never been on anything like that before, and we were going to take pictures after we got back from shooting our gator, and Billy was talking about, oh yeah, there's a 10-foot gator in here. I don't know if it was this year or what, and then they're like, all right, go walk out by that tree, and this water is like over my knees.
Oh my
and
gosh.
I'm like, you just got done telling me that there was like 10 feet gator in here. I'm like, so then I made Blaine, our camera guy, I'm like, you go first.
There you go.
Sacrifice Blaine.
Yeah.
But yeah, the swamp buggy thing was pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Is it like a big, like, does it have huge tires to
Yeah.
get through the
Yeah,
swamp
to
and
get
everything?
through the swamp.
Yep.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it probably is about 6 feet off the 6 feet off the ground, maybe.
I'd say 6,
Yeah.
7 feet off the
Yep.
bottom of
Really?
the platform
Yeah.
where you're sitting. Yeah.
That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool.
Yep.
Definitely needed down there with all the water. And
Yeah.
There's a lot of standing water.
And speaking of water, it's a good thing that we weren't down there this week
Yeah.
hunting because of hurricane. We hope everybody stays
Yeah.
safe down there with that hurricane that's moved in there or the area. Because I talked to Billy last night, Billy Lawson down there, who is a great friend who helps organize this whole thing for us down there in Florida. And he said he lives in Orlando and they're expecting 8 to 18 inches of rain.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
8
Crazy.
to 18.
in Orlando.
Oh
Yeah.
man.
Crazy.
Mm-hmm.
That's wild.
Yep. So we hope everybody is safe down there, and we wish you all the best of luck during this hurricane that's moving through, and to be safe down there as well. But then also, Derek, one thing is we had Jana Waller along with us as well.
Yeah.
Who has Skullbound Chronicles on Carbon TV and has had that TV show for 13 years. She's great at what she does. She was also down there hunting with us, and she shot a really nice 7-foot gator on Tuesday night. So at nighttime it's a little bit different hunt style.
Okay.
You can't call gators at nighttime.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So now we're kind of going what we like to call cowboy style. We're just cruising across the water, and Bobby or Randy, who's ever in that boat, is shining a small light, a small headlamp, and he's just zipping that light back and forth across the water, looking for red eyes. And when he sees it, he dims his lights way down. We crawl up there, and then he'll turn his light on brighter so you can see the size of it. And then if it's big, you shoot it. If it's not, you just move on to the next one.
Okay.
And so we're driving around with Jana, and all of a sudden you can see him dim his lights, and you can see him, he veers the boat off to the right to go into some thick, nasty stuff. And as we're getting closer, you can see the splash of the water. And then we drove faster towards them, and Bobby turned his lights on bright, and I think that kind of messed up the gator's vision a little bit.
Okay.
And it literally turned around and swam right back at the boat. And Jana put an amazing shot because everything happened so fast. She put a great shot as this gator was swimming right at the boat. We're all like, yes, yes, yes. And she shot, and she smoked him right in the back. And we got her gator in. It was awesome. So we got 3 of the 4 tags filled down there. And it was awesome.
That's cool.
It was awesome. The AMS gear, once again, flawlessly. The equipment, the points, did what they're supposed to do. And I was even more impressed because of where we shot 2 of these gators. We shot 2 of them right in the back in the scoots, and that chaos, FX big game point just buried itself in there, and it was not coming out. It was not coming out.
Sure.
And to see why we tied a line to that point, why that is, to see the big game reel work, where all the line goes out and the end of the line goes through the grooves in the big game reel, and the float pops in the water. I mean, it just made in the USA, baby.
Yeah.
That's what we do.
Yeah.
It was awesome. It worked awesome. It was flawlessly, and we can't thank Orlando Gator Hunts, Randy and Bobby for what they do, their professionalism and what they do. We're going to have them on our podcast here in one of our next upcoming podcasts. But and then also to Billy Lawson for, helping me get this all set up down there and to stay at his place down there and all that stuff. So it was a great trip. It was a great trip for the AMS crew. You guys did an awesome job. I'm so proud of you guys for getting a gator the way that you did. That's huge. Yeah. That's a huge accomplishment, and great job to both of you, Wendy and Alyssa.
Thank
Congrats,
you.
guys.
Thanks for your help, Matt.
It was awesome. I love doing that more than being the shooter.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun.
It is a lot of fun, and I'd recommend if you have an opportunity, even if you don't have a tag, to sit in the chase boat and just to watch, because it's amazing some of the things that you can see out there. Florida is beautiful.
Yep.
So check it out.
It is beautiful.
Sure. So just a last wrap-up question for you guys here. Wendy, if you had to describe the trip in one word, what would that word be?
Ooh, I would probably say memorable.
Memorable.
I'll never forget it.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if I'll ever do it again. You never know. But if I don't, I'll never forget it either. And it's something that I can talk about to people who look at me like I'm crazy. But it's still fun.
There you go. You literally have a one-upper story for anything you ever hear again in your life. Like, you could hear the craziest story ever and be like, oh, yeah, well, I shot a gator. So, and just shut them right down.
Exactly. You could be on a camping trip and somebody say, yeah, I caught a 43-inch muskie. Really? I shot an alligator.
Yeah. You could just shut anyone right down.
It's
going to be perfect. Matt, how about you? One word.
Crazy.
Crazy.
Yep. This trip was crazy for me. I had a lot of bloops and blunders. I fell in the water. But it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun. Yep.
That's
crazy for me
all
because I missed some shots. But like I said, along with that crazy came a lot of good out of it. A lot of memories came out of it, and a lot of excitement. It was a really good time. Really good time.
That's good to hear. Alyssa, one word to wrap up the trip?
I would definitely have to say unforgettable.
Unforgettable.
Yeah.
Good
Learned
word.
a lot, and it was just a great time.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's awesome.
Absolutely.
That's what it's all about. That's cool. That's cool. So.
Yipper. So there it is, Schmitty. I guess that means one thing. It's time to wrap up Bowfishing Buzz Podcast, episode 46, presented by AMS Bowfishing and
Megamouth Bowfishing as well.
We hope you enjoyed this podcast. We all had a good time here talking to you about it. Had a great time on our alligator hunt. Get out there and bowfish. Get your girlfriends out there. Get your wives out there. Get on the water. Enjoy the great sport of bowfishing. Join the BAA. Join your local Bowfishing Association club. Get on the water. From all of us at AMS Bowfishing, we wish you the best of luck. Remember, aim low
and think big. Thanks for listening, guys.